everybody, it's Chris Eads, Wootini from GayGamer.net, here with another weekly video podcast. As you can see, I have some special guests, because this time we're going to be talking about the highlights of E3 2014, and I needed some help. So I'll let them introduce themselves. Say your name, and what is your favorite game of all time?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. My name is Julian Quiterio. My favorite game of all time would be, I guess, the Mass Effect trilogy. I mean, it's not one game, but...
Hi, I'm Chris Adams from Gay Geeks of New York, and I'm gonna go with Kingdom Hearts because I love Disney.
Alright. Hey, Camilla, favorite game of all time? Oof. I'd probably go with Super Mario World because it's the first one that I played and just that good.
Alright, so let's start with... everybody had their big press conferences where they revealed their big games to come. Let's start with Microsoft. For me, Microsoft was... These press conferences are always such a chore to sit through, and I'm actually glad that I don't have to sit in the audience and pretend to be interested. I can actually watch them on YouTube and skip ahead or do other things while something's on. Because... like, I don't care about, like, you know, Far Cry or whatever. For me, the only thing that I liked in the Microsoft press conference was when Harmonix came out and said, yeah, we're still working on that Fantasia Connect game that's still coming, but we're also doing a new Dance Central game for Xbox One, which I'm like, yay! Because literally before the press conference started, I tweeted, I swear the only thing that could get me to buy an Xbox One is if they announced a new Dance Central game. And then, as soon as the press conference was over, Dance Central retweeted back at me and said, your move. So did any of you see anything in Microsoft's press conference? Because they had some exclusives that...
Well, Sunset Overdrive is probably going to be my game. It's like very throwback, very Jet Grind Radio. Come on, let's call it what it is. But it was very... action-paced. I like the fact that, like, the bosses are like, hey, you can, like, go anywhere, but the bosses are gonna follow you, too, so don't get, like, too cocky with it. So, it's a very interesting exclusive choice for Microsoft.
I like that it's in color.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
very colorful.
I mean, personally, the action looks off the hook in terms of, like, how fast-paced it is, because most games have, like, a weird lag time. You know, you're playing, and then there's like, a weird downtime and uptime. It just looks like it's constant action. And the colors, the art style looks amazing.
Yeah. And the character, I've heard, is customizable.
Really?
I think you can be a girl as well.
Yeah.
The whole thing is that you're the hero. Like, I love, like, how they introduced the game. Like, the guy was, like, super cocky. He's like, it's a video game. You can do whatever you want. So it's going to be very over the top. And, like, video games need that. I'm tired of the real.
He had a very Deadpool kind of attitude.
Yeah. But it lent itself pretty well to the whole thing, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks fun, and there was also something later on that I actually probably should have looked up the name so that I could say it, but I don't remember what it was. It looked kind of Monster Hunter-y, though, with, like, the guy with the headphones and the dinosaur, or the dragon.
Oh, that was towards the end.
And I can't remember the name of the game, but that looked kind of interesting, even though they showed, like, no actual gameplay.
Oh.
But that was another Microsoft...
Something scale, or... Scale
armor.
Yes, where the scale armor appears on him.
But, like,
and he's riding a
dragon. That was another one that was, like, an exclusive for Microsoft, where I was like, that looks like it might be interesting. I don't know. But I also think that I might have just been looking at it going, would I play that? Or am I just going to buy an Xbox One as a $400, $500, because I gotta buy the Kinect, a $500 Dance Central Spotlight
I think
console.
Ori is exclusive, too. Which is really like Child of Light-ish, which I love Child of Light, so I'm excited for this game.
So, I think I might have just been looking at Microsoft. Once they made that announcement, I think I was a little more predisposed to look favorably upon all of Microsoft's presentations, because I'm trying to justify getting it, not just for one game. Because looking at the Sony press conference, and I'm sorry, but the Sony press conferences are always the worst ones. Always, without fail. Because they're just as boring as the Microsoft ones, but they're longer.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking long.
It's so
Probably
long.
the longest thing
this one was only 15 minutes longer than the Microsoft one, though.
It felt like 3 hours.
Yeah, it really is.
And that was when I was watching it on YouTube and skipping over all the stuff I didn't care about. I'm like, yeah, I don't care about this Battlefield now. I mean, because it's all these shooters,
right?
And I'm just like, and it's all these dark, grimy military shooters, and I'm like, yes, I appreciate that your PS4 can, you know, it can render every piece of dust and dirt and debris and flame. I don't care.
They added other stuff though, that entwined game with the birds flying around, which is pretty cool.
And at least it wasn't like the Microsoft one, which was just like back-to-back gaming. Like I feel like they compacted it into an hour and a half, but it was rushed. Like some people didn't even get to talk about their game before it went right on to the next game, and it wasn't clear when they were going to start talking about something else.
They just switched to it.
They just switched to it.
Yeah. But also, there wasn't really anything in the PlayStation 4, like in the Sony press conference, that really caught my eye.
Well, there's a Sony TV. I mean, I think that's an interesting choice for them to make, to like try and bridge the gap between like gamers now and like more casual. Like, hey, we give you a device that can do all the Netflixing that you want, and you can still like get some games on it. So it's a good transition.
Yeah, so like it'll play like all the older stuff, like basically what you would download to your like Vita or PSP, like all the old PS1.
But at least Sony made an effort to like try to do something that gave you an incentive to get a PS4 over an Xbox One, because you know Xbox just showed a bunch of games, so it's like unless you're just solely, you know, I haven't bought either yet, so I'm still trying to decide, and all Xbox did was just games. You know,
yeah, but that's all I want.
Yeah,
I don't want more gadgets.
but there are so many cross-platform franchises that you know. I mean, gadgets are on top of what games are coming out too.
Right, but for me, the Kinect to play Dance Central is the gadget that I want. So I would buy the system that can let me play that, as opposed to Sony, where I don't care about virtual reality. I'm not wearing a giant headset, which is probably going to cost like $400 by itself.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not... That's going to be way too cost-prohibitive. I mean, people complain about paying $100 for a Kinect. When Sony releases this virtual reality thing, like, no. Like, that's going to cost hundreds of dollars. That's going to cost more than the console. Like, there's no way that's going to be, like, cost-effective.
Did they not learn from the Virtual Boy? Like, we're not ready for it yet, people.
So, no, I mean, people don't even want 3D TVs anymore.
Right.
So, you know, whatever. There was one thing that I found weird during the Sony press conference, though. They were talking about... now I forget what game it was. But it was like this big game that they were going to have where it was a multiplayer game, and you can invite people to play the game with you, even if they don't have that game.
Far Cry.
It was Far Cry
4, yeah.
And I'm like... But they didn't explain how that's supposed to work. And I'm just like, wait, so how am I supposed to invite my friend to play my game when he doesn't have it?
It's probably downloading something off the store.
Like,
whatever.
Is it going to stream it to him or something? I think... And the fact that they didn't explain, even in just like a sentence or two, how that would work, whether it's streaming or whether they would have to sit there for an hour and a half and down, because it's Sony. Right. It's like a 3-hour download just for that level. You know, like... They didn't explain that, and I'm just like, that's sketchy. I don't... Yeah.
I mean, it's probably just going to be like some sort of like temporary download so that somebody can play as a guest, but not gain levels or
Right. What I mean is, does it stream it so that you can invite your friend and they can jump right in and stream it, or do you have to wait for it to download, which with the PlayStation can take quite a while?
It's probably going to be downloaded.
It'll probably be like matchmaking, like specific stages that once you download, like you can just jump right in again. I mean, hopefully, who knows?
And then, okay, so... Sony, yawn. Their press conference put me to sleep every year. So then EA and Ubisoft had their own little press conferences. I have to admit that I didn't actually watch EA's in its entirety, because when I looked at the highlights, the only thing that I cared about was the new Mass Effect game, so I simply just went to YouTube and watched that separate YouTube video instead of trying to find it within the whole press conference, because also I don't want to watch EA because they spend like 20 minutes doing EA Sports, and obviously I don't care about that.
I tried to watch the whole thing, but I mean, like, it was mostly sports, and it was more than 20 minutes. It was like they went from golf to soccer to football.
Oh, they'll also spend like 10 minutes on The Sims, and I don't like The Sims.
Oh, so. UFC they did also, so they went to all these different, and the sports games just don't interest me either, so.
But Mass Effect was so good that, and I still love that universe, that even though that story has been told, there's a great universe out there, and I am really eager to see another game set in that universe, because that'll be fantastic.
I completely agree.
There was also a Star Wars game. I think they're doing a new Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes, they are doing.
Did anybody see anything like that?
I didn't get to see it, but I read about it. I mean, I was kind of bored with EA. I was like, all right, whatever. When they post an article, I'll just read. I mean, it's Star Wars. I'm excited for like the entire new franchise to be launched. So as long as those two universes match up, everything will be cool.
And hopefully this time, when there's a new Star Wars movie, it'll actually be as good as the game. Because with the first, when they released that first Star Wars prequel trilogy, that first movie came out, and I'm like, dude, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic had a way better story than this movie. Like, that shouldn't be.
Yeah, that's when you have a problem.
The movie tie-in games aren't supposed to be better than the movie. I mean, not that it was a tie-in game, but I mean, it's in that universe or whatever.
Right.
And then Ubisoft, I did skim through all of Ubisoft, and the only things that I took away from that was that they're still pushing Just Dance, but now instead of swinging around a remote, the Wii remote, to be like really ineffectual and half-assed, now you can literally just use your cell phone and download the Just Dance app, and then you can just wave it around with your cell phone. And that cracked me up because at these press conferences, they never seem to have actual playable demos on stage. They're just playing a video, and some people stand on stage with controllers and act like they're playing it. And so they had like 50 dancers on stage in the aisles and up in the balconies, like all doing a routine to that horrible Lady Gaga song. And at the end they're like, and who won? And like they checked the scoreboard, and some girl with her phone up in the balcony had won. But they were all professional dancers, and she's pretending that she's shocked she won, and everybody around her is pretending that they're proud and happy for her, and they're dancers, not actors. Let's just say that. So I'm just like, wow, so you're going to make this even less responsive. Just use your phone. But the other thing, there's also some weird fitness game that Ubisoft is making that looks like, it's like a workout game. I guess it uses the Kinect, but like it's a workout game, but it's like silly.
Yeah, it's like mini games. Like you have to do like the push-ups, or like if you fail, like you're out.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like I feel like I have some workout games, and I like doing them, but they're very straightforward workout games. They're not like goofy workout games. Like I don't know, because sometimes like the Wii Fit or something is good because it kind of like makes you play a mini game, and you're doing a bobsled run, and then you're having fun, and you want to beat your best time, and then after you do it, like after you do it once, your abs are burning, and now you're like, wow, I just had a really good ab workout while doing a bobsled game. But I don't know. It seemed like you're not disguising the workout. It seemed like the workout is right there, and then they're just making it more entertaining, I guess. I don't know. But the big thing with Ubisoft was that the controversy over Assassin's Creed. You all followed that train wreck, right?
Yes.
Because that was just insane. How do you feel about that whole no women?
I mean,
which is ridiculous because they had an entire game with a female protagonist, which was really good, by the way.
I mean, from what they showed on it, like, you couldn't even really see that they were guys to begin with, so it's kind of like,
Well, what I found out later, reading articles about it, is that, in fact, the reason that all the characters are just palette swapped of the same guy is because when you play the multiplayer, you're playing the main character, and your three friends are playing, different colors of the same guy. So, and when he's playing, so each of your friends, you're seeing them as the different colors, but they're seeing themselves as the main dude. So you're not playing a customizable character. You're not making a character for multiplayer that's customizable. You're just playing the main character from the game in multiplayer. So in that case, I'm like, you should have just said that. Like, if they had just come right out and said that from the start, they said, oh, the reason that there's no option to pick a woman is because you play multiplayer as the same character in the game. So it's the same guy. And that's a guy, it's not a girl. This is his story. And I get that, that's fine. It's never a customizable character, that's fine. And if you explained that from the start, I think it would have gone over a whole lot better than saying, oh, we can't program females. That's like so much extra work, and we're already too far into development, and nobody's going to buy that. And that just makes you sound really stupid and sexist.
Yeah, I mean, in the video, they did look almost exactly the same, too. So, I mean, I get that, but, I mean, this is a misunderstanding. They shouldn't, everyone shouldn't be so crazy about, making a big deal about it. There are no female characters,
Well, I mean, because that's the thing, is if they had said, oh, it's not a customizable character, you play multiplayer as the main character, then everyone would have said, oh,
Okay.
never mind then. But they had this whole big spiel about how, oh, like, females, we have to do all the animation and the programming for the costumes and the animation and everything, and we, there's no time in the development cycle for that, it would cost so much extra money, and it's like, what?
Well, I think the bigger problem
That
is
wasn't
that
the right response.
everybody else, like, you have Destiny, you have Evolve, you have Fable Legends, which is all, like, these big multiplayer games, but they're saying, yes, you can be this character or this character, and there's all this customization. And for Assassin's Creed to not, like, say, oh, well, no, we're not going to do it, or not give an option, it seems kind of out of place.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, but at the same time, like, I get it. They're like, you're going to play this game as the main character. Even when you're playing multiplayer, you're playing as this main character. Like, I get that, that's fine. In Evolve, there's set characters. It's not, I don't think Evolve is terribly customizable.
No, it's not, but you can, you have the option to choose.
I mean, you can choose to play the girl character,
and, like, you can, like,
she's
choose, like, your upgrading weapons and stuff. And there's a limit. I think the bigger thing with that is that you get to also choose to be the enemy, like the big bad boss, which is kind of amazing.
I played that at PAX East. It was pretty awesome, actually. I didn't get to play the monster, which would have been good because the monster totally won. But I thought I was picking the guy with the sniper rifle, but I picked wrong. You need to be the healer if you want the sniper rifle. What I do think was good about the Ubisoft controversy that stirred up is it basically just stirred up the whole, women in games issue again, which I think is important, because there aren't enough women in games, either behind the scenes or in the game itself. And that's why a lot of people were really excited just to segue into Nintendo's press conference, which was a wonderfully short 45-minute digital event that was perfectly edited and trimmed down and gave you just the highlights you needed, so you didn't have to watch 20 minutes of somebody playing a game.
With some legitimate funny bits in the middle.
Right. And everyone was commenting about how all of the Nintendo games had female characters in them. And that's great. So, okay. Alright, no, we're doing it last. We're doing it last because you guys are going to go crazy.
We can start with Yoshi.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to actually start with Zelda, because that to me was, as soon as the title The Legend of Zelda came up on screen, I literally got goosebumps, and then he came out, and I'm like, because I knew they were going to talk about a Wii U, because you can't do another 3DS Zelda, because you just did one. This has to be the Wii U Zelda that's like, we know you got a Wii U, and there's not a lot of great games right now, but you knew there's a Zelda game coming, and this is what it's going to be. And as soon as he started showing the footage of Hyrule Field, I am not too proud to admit, I literally welled up. And almost started crying at just the sight of it.
Right.
I was so excited. And then they showed the footage, and I'm like, and that also, I don't think that this is true, but because this character that they showed, I'm not going to say it's Link, although it probably should be, but it might not be, but this character that they showed was very slender of frame and slightly effeminate looking maybe, and people said, is that Link, or is that like a girl? And people were like, well maybe, and I suggested maybe, if they're doing an open world Hyrule, maybe they'd let you go so far as to create your own character instead of just giving it a name, which is all you ever got to do because you were Link. Right. I always left it as Link, honestly, myself. Maybe this time they're like, because somebody was like, what if it's like Link and Zelda's kid?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then that's who you're playing as? And I'm like, if it was Link and Zelda's kid, and you had an open world Hyrule to explore, and then you could choose whether to be their son or their daughter, like that would be amazing.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how far along Nintendo is in their progression in this game, but I think they got a lot of feedback from E3 about having that choice. So if they decide to actually go ahead and develop that would be like really progressive.
Yes. And they would win over so many of the gays who were upset about the Tomodachi Life. I think they would win back quite a few people with that kind of a move.
Well, they keep pushing this whole ditching traditions thing with the new Zelda, and that would just be something else to tie into that.
Right.
With the whole open world versus like standard puzzles and standard areas that you have to go to all the time.
Right.
That's just another thing.
They started that with the Link Between Worlds, where you could do them in any order.
Right.
So here you'd have a whole open world to explore, do things in any order, and maybe you could be a girl.
Right.
Because I also think it would be kind of awesome if they, at some point, did a Legend of Zelda game that was about the actual legend of actual Zelda, and not Link. Zelda can have an adventure, and it could be the Legend of Zelda. Because it really should be the Legend of Link, because it's Link's legend that they keep playing over and over again.
But, that's a good point, because, like, if you think that if they haven't done, like, a Legend of Zelda, her game, I don't think they would go that far to make one of their they would make one of their kids. I mean, I think that's an ideal situation, but when I saw you're talking about that video where he or she is fighting that thing.
Yeah, the octopus thing.
It looked like Link to me. It looked like Link to me, just stylized a little differently.
I also, when I saw the video, I mean, it was through tears, but it looked like Link to me, and it was done in that nice cel-shaded Skyward Sword kind of style, which I like. But then when people were saying, it kind of looks like a girl, and I was looking at it again, and I'm like, you could kind of say it looks like a girl, but Link always kind of looks like
he's always been
kind of androgynous,
you know. But I'm super excited for that, even though that's not going to be till probably next Christmas of 2015. Whatever, it's fine. I can wait. Now, you seem to be excited about Yoshi. I know they had the new Yoshi game, which looked beautiful, and there was a new Kirby game done in claymation. The Yoshi is yarn, and Kirby was claymation looking. And I'm not excited about those because I suck at platformers. So why don't you talk about how excited you are for it?
The biggest thing, you're on board with me, is you've never had a multiplayer Yoshi. So that's the biggest thing for me. But I love Kirby's Epic Yarn. And it gives that kind of platformer, not Mario, more exploratory. There we go. And just the way that they're using the environment and using yarn. So you're stitching platforms together, you're stitching tunnels, you're opening a box and unraveling it. It's just very cutesy. That's a game I go home after work and I need to relax and just it's so beautiful.
No, that's the thing. I actually wasn't that crazy about Kirby's Epic Yarn. I thought it was too easy. It was too simple. There wasn't much chance to die. You actually can't die in that game. But the cool thing about Yoshi's Woolly World, it's just graphically it looks a lot better, and it looks like it has somewhat of a challenge as well. And the whole multiplayer thing is just really cool. And I'm totally gonna play with someone and just eat them and throw them all over the place because it's just funny to do that. But it looks like a very, very interesting game. I'm very much looking forward to it, more so than when they first showed those images last year, and it was just 2 pictures, and I was like, I don't care. But now I'm just all about it.
Well, I also like the fact that they've been doing these, like you said, stitching the platforms and unraveling things and stuff. I love that it's not just a visual style to make it look different from your average platformer. They actually use the yarn, and with the Kirby, I'm sure they'll use the clay, and they use that in the platforming, and it's part of the gameplay, and I think that's so cool. Even though I'll probably never ever play it.
Lies.
Not good. Lies. Although you say that you can't die in the Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I'm like, oh really? Because that's my problem.
Yeah, you can't.
The constant falling and
Die,
dying.
but
it's just,
you just lose gems or something.
It gets very repetitive. All the dying.
Yeah.
I mean, the colors look cool for that Yoshi game. I would just like to see how how it works with the yarn itself and taking things apart and putting them back together. If they do that in the gameplay well, I think it would be, it seems like a good idea. But if it's just another platformer, I don't know.
Personally, all I want is one of those little yarn Yoshis that they showed in the video.
They
I
might
need them to sell that at
yeah.
Nintendo World, and I will totally buy one. Even if I don't care about the game, I just want that little yarn Yoshi because it was adorable!
Yeah.
We should probably mention Splatoon.
Oh my god.
Which was interesting because it's like a new IP from Nintendo. It's a 4-player multiplayer game. It's basically the opposite of Super Mario Galaxy, where instead of
Sunshine.
Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
Where instead of splashing water around to clean up, you're splashing ink around as a squid to cover the play area with your color. And in the end of the round, the team who has the most area covered in their color ink wins. But being a squid, you can also swim in your own color ink and hide and pop up and do things, and that adds a little extra to the gameplay instead of just running and gunning. It's super cute and colorful.
Playing as pink, always.
Well, the purple was nice too.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I like about most Splatoon is just they demoed shooting with a teammate shooting ink up a wall, and the other person becomes a squid, and you pop up, and it's very, very cooperative. They made it so you never feel like you're alone, even if when you get shot down, you die. You can like just tap on the gamepad to like spawn back with your teammates. So it's like a very cooperative environment.
I think it's great. I think it's fun, and it's also cute, which I enjoy. Because, you know, it's a fun, cute shooter instead of the... Although, again, it's leaning towards that whole multiplayer thing that seems to be really prevalent with games nowadays, like Microsoft and Sony. There were a lot of games that seem to be, like, It's not, instead of, here's a single-player game with a little bit of multiplayer. It's a multiplayer game, and now it seems like if they even have a single-player mode, that's the throwaway, that they didn't really put much effort in.
Even the main franchises. I mean, Assassin's Creed's doing that. Dragon Age is doing that now, and I don't even know what to expect of that. I mean, having a Dragon Age game that's based on playing for a multiplayer rather than, you know, open environment.
I didn't know that because I didn't watch that part of it. I didn't watch the EA press conference, just the Mass Effect.
Dragon Age
fan. I tried Dragon Age and I didn't like it, so I don't care. But I did notice during the Microsoft one, they had Fable. There's a new Fable game. But Fable is now a multiplayer game.
Same thing.
And I'm like, what? No, the whole point of Fable was that I played it by myself. Whatever happened to just sitting in your living room by yourself like a shut-in, playing your video games all day? Whatever happened to that?
Because it's all about social now.
No,
I
don't want to play online with people. I want to play by myself.
Yeah. No, I don't either.
But like, I mean... But how do you meet these 4 people? I mean, because rarely, like, do you buy all the same games as your friends at the same time?
Yes.
Yes, usually. That's what you're after.
No! None of us ever have the same
You're
games
going to
at
end
the
up
same
playing
time.
Dragon Age online with complete strangers and hope for the best.
Right.
Speaking of multiplayer and having fun with your friends, I'm going to turn the floor over to these guys to talk about Smash Brothers and all the exciting reveals, because they're like, look, you can play as this character, and I'm like, who? Whatever.
You need to get into it.
Yes.
Well,
so
the first big thing I want to say is like, not during the E3 Nintendo press conference, after their tournament, and was behind closed doors, so I was like really nervous that I was going to miss it. But Pac-Man is now a playable character, so it's Pac-Man, Mario, Sonic, and
Mega Man.
Like, that's like epic.
Yeah.
The mascots are going to go at it finally after years and years, so I'm super excited.
See, I can appreciate that that's a cool thing to have these different mascots all fighting each other. I just never liked Smash Brothers. Maybe it's because nobody ever, like, taught me how to play it.
Well, we'll teach you.
So they just throw me in, and then there's just chaos, and I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. I'm pushing buttons, and what's happening, I don't even know.
Right.
So you guys are super excited.
Of course, yeah.
Are you getting the Wii U or the 3DS one?
Both. Like, that's a question.
Not a question. Because the 3DS one's coming out first, so we'll be playing that.
Obviously.
And then the Wii U one. We actually went to the Nintendo World demo event, so we got to try out the game. We were a bit hesitant on the 3DS one, because it's the first handheld Smash Brothers title, so we didn't know how it was going to go. It actually feels pretty good. It's very natural. They did one button for grab and one button for shield on the shoulders. But it feels really nice, the graphics look really good, and we're going to be playing it forever. We'll be online all the time, so. But it should be good, yeah.
I mean, they've done a lot to separate the 3DS version from the Wii U game.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of, like, extra mini-games that they packed. You can find that montage online. So, even if you really only want Smash Brothers for a console, you'll probably end up getting the portable one anyway, because it's an entirely different game.
Right.
But for the new one coming out, hopefully they fix that whole online servers issue that they had with the last ones.
I mean, Mario Kart seems to be doing pretty good, right? So I'm sure they'll be okay with it.
But for some reason, Smash Bros. Always had a problem with the online.
Right. Just too many people at one time.
It's too popular.
Thing, yeah. But they'll work on that.
Although,
they're working on it.
Like, a lot of the Wii stuff going online was sketchy because Nintendo, for years, has been about, no, you're supposed to play with your friends in the living room. And they're like, oh, wait, you want to play online? And so they're always a little late to the party with the online stuff. But I feel like they've learned their lessons on the Wii games and stuff, so that now with the Wii U, I mean, I played Mario Kart Online, and it seems fine. There's been no lag, there's been no shut-offs, there's been no crashes. It's been fine. I've lost a lot. So I'd like to blame that on the lag, but I can't, because it seems to play just perfectly smooth, but whatever.
I mean, they partner with Namco on this, and I feel like they've done a lot of balancing, so I would be really disappointed if we get an online version and it's not up to par with everything else that's out there.
Well, what do you guys feel about those new Mii characters that they're rolling out?
Very different from what I expected, but not bad. It's another
Wait,
another
you
character.
guys are
option,
Playing
so-
the Mii's in the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, they announced
Okay.
that too. They announced
Yeah.
that there's 3 types of Mii characters. They have
I thought you were
different
talking about the
weapons and
figurines.
stuff. No, they have different weapons and stuff that they can use. It's a very different style from what we were speculating it would be, but it's an interesting choice. I probably will just try them out.
It's
but-
also fun because then people can play as themselves. Also, then you can have those epic, like, you know, Hitler versus Jesus
Yeah.
battles and stuff, and you
You
can...
can be Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, then, you know... Well, I don't know. Can you make Batman?
I have a Batman
I mean-
on my
Yeah.
If they
Oh,
have,
really?
yeah,
Does it look good?
costumes,
Yeah.
but-
I've never
They'll
thought
have-
of I saw somebody made an Iron Man. I
Yeah.
street passed somebody on my 3DS with an Iron Man one that looked really good. I was like, wow, that's impressive. But you can... There's going to be a lot... I think a lot of people are going to have fun using their customizable Mii's,
Right.
like creating characters to like battle each other in Smash Brothers.
I just think the Mii's
Just
look.
for fun.
I just think the Mii's like art style looks really stupid compared to the other characters in the game.
Well, it's
Yeah.
because that's the style of character they are.
Yeah, I know,
So,
but those avatars, like,
yeah.
I still haven't been able, even when Nintendo first came out with those avatars, I can't
Yeah.
stand them.
Every time they put Mii's in a game, they never look that good because
Right.
the Mii's just aren't detailed and
Yeah.
they're not that great
They're basic.
design-wise.
And their faces look.
They're too simple, and I every time there's a new hardware, I'm like, maybe now they'll make the Mii's more developed, and they don't. So they're never going to look that
The
good.
thing with the Mii, though, is the Mii can't be used online against random people, only with friends. So it's only going to be in the small local environment anyway, so you're never going to see those online.
Is there
regardless.
any connectivity between the 3DS and the Wii U?
They're hinting
version?
at
hinted
stuff,
at it.
but they haven't said anything yet. They're probably going to wait until closer to the Wii U release so they have something to talk about after the 3DS
True,
game
that's
comes
true.
out.
Yeah,
so,
they'll probably keep that as a secret.
yeah,
Gotta have something else there.
right.
Alright, this is going on forever, and let's wrap this up. Is there anything else that you saw from anybody at E3 that you're excited about that we didn't talk about yet?
The Tomb Raider, the next one that's coming out.
Ooh,
That looked
yeah.
nice. I mean,
It was a cutscene.
it was a cutscene, but
You knew they were going to do a new Tomb Raider, because that one was freaking awesome and made billions of dollars.
it's
Like,
exciting because they reinvented the franchise, and then they're doing another one for it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
of course they were going to do a sequel. That was like, when they revealed that, I was like, obviously they're doing a Tomb Raider 2. I just wish they'd shown like more than just that teaser, because that means that it would have been a little further along in development and I could play it sooner. Because the fact that they just showed that teaser, I'm like, oh, have you even started working on it?
The acknowledgement is there. We got
Right.
acknowledgement for Star Fox, even though we saw it
Yeah.
was like a blurry screen in the background. We know it's happening finally, and it's not going to skip another system.
Right,
so.
right. We'll see what happens with that.
one I didn't understand though was the Dead Rising 3 teaser that they had, where someone's watching something on an arcade machine, and then it's like going.
Oh, that was DLC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get the Capcom pack, so you can like do all the skins and all that.
It just made Dead Rising look so flashy and like
Yeah, it was weird because I was like, is this a new game? And then they're like, no, it's just DLC. You can download it right now. And I'm like, what? Okay, that's random and weird. But it did look really fun.
Right.
To just dress up as all the characters and stuff.
For me, the only thing we didn't mention, because I'm lame, is the Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, which looks super cute. Whatever.
No,
I'm excited for
I'm
it.
gonna be excited for
And
it
it's
too.
coming out this year.
That's
the
helpful.
thing.
That's
the majority
helpful.
of these games that we're shown are coming out in 2015, so it's nice that something... That and Bayonetta 2, because Bayonetta 2 is going to be awesome. I'm very excited for that as well. And it comes bundled with the first one, which is really cool.
Which is a really smart move because
Yeah.
you haven't had that game on this system, so
Right, yeah,
like,
no,
you need
it
to
makes
introduce
total
the story
sense
to
to-
everybody.
yeah.
And outfits. I'm going to play as Link all the time. Seriously. It's going to be amazing.
Alright, well, I don't want to keep anybody any longer than necessary, so thank you for watching, and thank you all for joining me to talk about everything at E3. And I will see you back here on my couch next week. Bye!
Bye!
Bye.